The loudest, the biggest, the brashest. New York is its own character in every play.
The bad thing about New York is the pressure. You're always under pressure.
Here are the stories about those plays. It's New York Accent with Damon Amendolara.
Welcome inside the latest installment of New York Accent, everybody. This is the show about stars from New York who have played in New York, are from New York. And our next guest was a star in the state of New York in college and then drafted by the New York Knicks in 1996 as well. Had a 7-year career in the NBA and has done some great stuff after his NBA career was over. This is a safe zone around here, John. The Cuse is in the house. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm an orange. Our producer's an orange. Bryce Gelman, you're an orange. And so we're all in this thing together. John Wallace joins us here on New York Accent. John, how you doing?
Hey, man, what's up? How my Cuse brothers doing? It's always good to, share some stories and love with my Cuse people. I only last in a new house about 3 days. So you guys, I know that workload that it takes to make it through that rigorous course, but once you get through it, obviously you have a great job. You're kind of set for life once you make it through that new house rigorous program.
Was Boeheim going to let you do new house as long as you were at school if you wanted to, or was he going to pull you out of it anyway?
Well, no, literally the first day of school, as you guys know, you get the syllabus. I didn't know what a syllabus was at that time, and I'm just like, it was so much stuff on that syllabus. I just called Miss McDonald, who's our academic advisor at the time. I was like, Miss Mac, I got to change this class immediately.
So what did you transfer to?
I ended up majoring in sociology. Definitely classes more along my what I'm actually doing today and using today in terms of learning people and studying, learning how to interact with people and kids and different people from all walks of life. So sociology fit very well into what I'm doing today and what I've been doing.
When you're growing up in Rochester, it's the heyday of Syracuse's dominance in the Big East in the 1980s. They go to the Final Four in the national championship game in 87. They're consistently in the tournament, and you're just an hour and change down the thruway from them, from Syracuse. Was there ever a chance you were going to get away and not play for the Orange?
No, Syracuse is always kind of in my heart. Honestly, in 10th grade, I was leaning towards Providence because Fran Fraschilla and Rick Barnes did a really good job of recruiting, and my mom really liked them a lot. But ultimately, I wanted to stay close to home. The style of play that Syracuse played was fit right perfectly with the way I played. And trying to emulate Derek Coleman and Billy. Billy went number 3 overall in 1991. So I was right on the heels of those guys. So I was looking up to them, more than anyone else at that time. Because I watched every game, the way they moved, everything. Like I was trying to emulate everything they did.
Talk to us about Billy Owens, because everybody remembers Derek Coleman, and there's been a lot of great Syracuse players that have come before and after, but Billy Owens was thoroughly dominant, and because he didn't have a great NBA career, people might forget, but just how good was Billy Owens at the collegiate level?
Well, Billy's like a 6'9" point guard. He was, he was so good that, he was able to do the things like Magic Johnson, score the ball, really good at assists, went on. But, just a dominant player, one of the greatest high school players of all time. He's in a high school Hall of Fame. Seeing him on Syracuse campus the first time, it was just like seeing like an alien for me. It was just like, I just stopped in your tracks. I remember exactly where I was. He was coming out of a Greek Freak concert, and he was just someone I wanted to be like, because Billy was so good, man. He didn't have a great NBA career, but he had a long NBA career. Anytime you're able to play in the NBA for longer than 4 or 5 years, you've had a long career, and you get a great pension.
Let us not forget about the pension. In 1996, It all comes together. and your team goes on a dramatic run to the Final Four and the national championship game. You end up playing the Final Four in East Rutherford at the Meadowlands, and so there's tons of Syracuse fans there. You play the iconic 96 Kentucky Wildcat squad, and you are the heartbeat of that team. You're the star of that team. I'm sure you still have people that talk about this run with you, 96, but what was that entire experience like to be, again, the centerpiece of a Cinderella run to a national championship game?
Well, honestly, you guys went to Syracuse. There's no better place to go to school from a social standpoint. And then if you add in, going to the Final Four, which is the greatest party night in Syracuse history for us. I mean, we, coming back and making that run, and because no one had us going to the Final Four that year, so it was like it came out of nowhere. We expected to be there. We spoke about how we felt like the the tournament, the brackets came out, we felt like we thought we were going to play UConn eventually, and then UConn lost to Mississippi State because we wanted to get some get back because UConn beat us in the Big East tournament that year. So we were focused on, all right, we win this game, we get a chance to get back at UConn in the Final Four. UConn loses to Mississippi State, so we end up beating Mississippi State in the Final Four and losing to Kentucky in the final. But the whole Final Four run, the whole experience, there's nothing like it. Any college player who's played in the Final Four will tell you there's no experience like being the Final Four teams in the country and everyone's watching you. There's nothing better than you take it a step further to make it to that championship game. There's nothing like it, man. So ultimately, you want to win that game. We didn't win, but just the experience and everything that goes with it was unbelievable, and something that my friends and we still talk about to this day.
For those of us on the outside, we see Jim Boeheim as a crusty old guy that complains a lot and rails on the refs and can't stand the media. But yet it is very obvious that the players that played for him have a very tight bond. There's a true love. We see this with yourself, Carmelo, Derek Coleman, guys that come back, and there is a real cherished bond between the two. So what is it that you guys have with Jim that we just don't see on the outside?
Well, Coach Boeheim is the ultimate players coach. He is the ultimate players coach, almost to a fault. He loves his players. He will do anything for his players. And we feel that. And it's not just while you're there. It's when you leave there and you come back. It's always love. Obviously we feel we're slightly biased because we went to Syracuse, but we honestly do have the greatest fans in the world. And I get the type of love when I go back today and tomorrow, whatever I go back. It's like I'm still playing. It's like I just dropped 30 the night before. That's the feeling that the Syracuse fans give you.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Syracuse fans, and then you come out of 96 and you get drafted on draft night by the New York Knicks. And if I'm not mistaken, national championship game and Final Four are held in East Rutherford at Brendan Byrne Arena. And then the draft that night in 96 is at Brendan Byrne Arena as well, isn't it?
Yep, East Rutherford, yep.
Okay, so how about all these connections? You grew up in Rochester to the state of New York. You played in Syracuse. The Final Four is in East Rutherford. The draft is in East Rutherford. You get drafted by the New York Knicks. It's just a whole big New York thing happening for you from the time you grew up to the time that you get drafted into the NBA. Are you excited about getting drafted to a team that had just been in the NBA Finals a couple of years earlier and was one of the best teams of the 90s?
Yeah, I mean, getting drafted by the Knicks at that time was incredible for me. It meant everything to me. Being a part of that storied franchise and coming in with Patrick Ewing and those guys meant everything to me.
It feels like you were the perfect fit for the 90s Knicks because you were willing to do the dirty work. You had a physical game as well, and it felt like you really connected as a young guy with some of the veterans that were there. Did you feel like you were a good fit for that locker room and the style of play that the Knicks had in the 90s?
Absolutely. I felt like I fit right in. There was no it was like a seamless transition for me in terms of the style of play in the Big East and that, being physical back then and fitting right in with the NBA style. Obviously not as physical as the NBA and the Big East, but a certain level of physicality that gets you ready for the NBA rigors. And having the type of people on the team that I came in with Ewing and those guys, if you weren't ready, you were just gonna get eaten up. So you had to get yourself ready in a very fast way, or you just weren't going to be able to survive or make it because they didn't care if you weren't ready or not. You have to get ready, and you come in, you watch the veterans how they work out, how hard they work out, how often they work out, and you try to implement that into your own regiment. And if you're able to do that, you'll have a better career.
You had a class of three different collegiate players in '96 that all got drafted by the Knicks in the first round. It was yourself, Walter McCarty from Kentucky, and then also the Knicks took Dante Jones from Mississippi State, all Final Four teams and Final Four players. But you lasted the longest there. What do you think it was about your game that you were able to stick with the Knicks and get the respect of the veterans more than the other guys that you were drafted with?
I think it honestly started with my very first NBA practice where I looked as weak as I've ever looked by throwing up and I was talking a lot of noise about what I was going to do to everyone, and my very first practice I looked weak, but my second practice I responded. I came back stronger than ever, and that earned me my playing time that year and respect for my teammates because they were interested to see how I was going to respond. Because the night of my first practice, I went home, I didn't shower, I didn't brush my teeth, and I didn't eat. I was that tired. And so they were like, what's going to happen the next day? Are you going to come out and be weak? Are you going to ask for subs? Are you going to take some time off? And I came back the next day and I just played as hard as I've ever played and played really good. And that's how I earned respect from my teammates and my coaches. That second practice. 'Cause my first practice, I looked like I was, ready to not, to be out the NBA and like the next day because I just had a very bad practice, didn't play good, and all the noise I was talking just looked like it was just noise. I was just bloviating about nothing.
Now, now, this is amazing. You were trash talking a veteran Knicks team before you'd even practiced once as a rookie with them?
Yeah, that's just the way I came in, man. And we had did some 5-on-5 runs, and I was playing well, in the 5-on-5. What you realize that you're playing pickup ball is one thing, but when you're doing when practice starts, you're doing drills, you're going to this drill and this drill. We did the 3-on-2, 2-on-1 continuous, and the veterans taught me a lesson. Every time I came to the sideline to get a break, they didn't let me. So that's why I threw up. I didn't get a break because I was talking noise. So they taught me a lesson that very first practice: shut your mouth and work hard.
Yeah, that's a good lesson to catch, and you'll catch it real quick from veterans like Ewing and Oakley and Starks, and ultimately Chris Childs was on that team a couple of years later, and that was an intense group, man. I got to tell you, that is the dog of the '90s Big East coming out from you. If you
Yeah.
felt like you could get to the NBA and start trash talking a bunch of guys that were in the finals 2 years earlier, that means the Big East was deep within you.
No doubt, man. No doubt.
That's fantastic. So when you were playing in Madison Square Garden under the banners, the world's most famous arena, et cetera, what was that rookie season like for you?
It was special. I felt like that was our best team. And if we didn't get in a fight with the Miami Heat in the playoffs that year, I think that was our best chance of beating the Bulls. We split with them that year 2-2. We matched up very well with them, and we liked our chances going into the playoffs of being able to beat the Bulls. And unfortunately, we lost to the Miami Heat after the fight broke out and the NBA staggered the suspensions of our team, which basically left us in a very uncompromising situation. And it was very tough, man. Very, very, very tough. It still bothers me to this day because that team was really good that we were on, and we just didn't get a chance to even go against the Bulls that year because we lost to the Heat.
You played on a bunch of different teams throughout your NBA career. The Knicks, you came back to the Knicks a couple of seasons later after a stint with the Raptors, the Pistons, the Suns, the Heat. So what was unique about playing in New York versus your other stops in the NBA?
Well, there's nothing like New York. It's the mystique. It's the fans that are very knowledgeable about the game itself. It's the intensity that the fans, come to the game with. It's the intensity that you can walk into a fan on the streets in New York, and they will talk to you like they coached you last night, and they will give you advice. They would give you, you like, what, a banker? Like, you're a banker? Like, could be giving you banking advice right now? But you gotta love New York for that, man. You gotta love it.
You had mentioned at the outset of our conversation about a background in sociology, and so working with people. You're an executive board member of the Heavenly Productions Foundation, which is a charity whose mission is to help children in need and in distress as well. You work with young people. You work with people in general that are in positions of need sometimes. And so tell me about those projects and how that fits your personality and your background.
Well, I feel like it's important for athletes, entertainers, celebrities, idols, whatever you want to call them, to kind of give back and help people who might look up to you, help people who might want to be like you or try to walk in your shoes or try to emulate you. So it's your job and your duty to kind of give back and try to lead and teach them even better than you were. So you can, when they do get to that position, they're able to thrive and flourish in it. So I think that's our job and our duty. And being a part of Heavenly Productions has been awesome for me. Being part of the Garden of Dreams with MSG has been incredible. The Madison Square Garden family has done so much for myself and my family. And they're one of the biggest charitable philanthropic organizations in the world in terms of the Garden of Dreams, Madison Square Garden, and everything they do. So being a part of that, I'm kind of getting, by association, I'm getting all this credit for things that I just part of companies and part of foundations are doing it on their own. I'm just trying to help out and lend a helping hand any way and anywhere I can.
Well, I'll tell you, Syracuse tends to put out, in my estimation, some well thought athletes that come through the programs to play sports, but then after their careers are done, tend to feel like they really are there to help and do some good things. And I think you're at the forefront of that. I know every time that me and my classmates see the things that you're doing, it's like, yeah, man, that's a Syracuse guy right there. Like, he's looking to give back. He's got his head put on straight. So I appreciate that. I know a lot of my classmates appreciate that as well. You wave the banner well, man, and you do great stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the love. There's nothing like Syracuse people, and that all started with Jim Brown. All this, being bigger than the sport and talking more about, than just yourself, talking about things that are going on in the world, less fortunate or whatever. Jim Brown embodied that to the fullest, and we all kind of, trying to follow his footsteps.
Yeah, for sure. Jim Brown was larger than life in a lot of ways, not just on the football field, but what he meant, to a lot of people in a lot of different ways. John Wallace joining us here on New York Accent after a wonderful standout career for Syracuse, then also with the New York Knicks as well. 7 years in the NBA as well as playing overseas as well, and now doing wonderful things in the community, as he had just mentioned before. John, this was a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much. The Cuse is in the house. Oh, my God. This is awesome. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy New York Accent, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more episodes like this one. Also, if you want to watch more episodes of New York Accent, check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you for the next episode of New York Accent.